Might be a bit of delay, so yeah, careful.
I mean, yeah, that'll be a bit of a delay.
Also, keep your mic in Discord too, because there is a stream delay.
What do you mean? I mean, I'm not turning off the mic in Discord. What do you mean?
Okay, go.
Okay. We should be live? Just checking. I mean, I'm not turning off the mic in Discord. Okay, Twitch is good. Ugh, sorry, good. YouTube.
Oh no, fuck! Why not? Why this? Why this one?
What?
Okay, I can hear both of that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, just
there's a bit of delay in the stream.
Yes, of course there's a delay on the stream. That's how streams work.
Okay, I don't know. I unmuted the stream and I unmuted you, so.
Just mute the stream, but don't mute Discord.
Yeah, yes, Pierre. Yes, I fucking realized.
Okay, so I think we're good to start. So welcome back to my second stream, guys. Whoever comes, hopefully some people join soon. I am actually here with a guest now, Stuart. Sorry, who you guys might recognize from my CES coverage. He was the one who did most of the talking for that. He did a great job. So make sure you go leave a like on all the videos with him. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a webcam for some reason. So we're just going to leave this screen cap of him from CES.
Please don't. I'm gonna kill myself now. This is great, man.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, trust me, I sent you other suggestions for pictures, but you rejected those.
True. You know, out of all of the things that we could have used for the display, this one was probably the best one.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, you want to start like actually talking about Computex shit, or are we just gonna dick around all day?
Yeah, no, we're just gonna mess around here. No, but seriously, today's big news topic is obviously gonna be Intel. They just released their new Core X series and are gonna confuse the crap out of everybody.
i8 and i9, let's go, boy.
There's no i8s, buddy. I don't know where you heard that. So let's just get into talking about the processors themselves, and then we can talk a bit about the motherboards. And then at the end of the show, we'll talk about a few other things that we're seeing. But it's mostly going to be the new X299 platform. So I'm going to move over to...
Yep. Wait, hold on, chill. Is your mic even? I don't think your mic is working on OBS, bro. Because I have the stream audio just up right now and nothing's on it. Okay, shit. Now the sound just came. Yeah. Anyways, well, I mean, look at the price points for all this stuff. Hopefully.
Okay, we should be good in just a bit.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just like check the stream itself. So.
I mean, there's nothing I can do about Sunday's stream, but I hope it was working while I was on the sharing my desktop.
Alright, yeah, we're good.
We're good? Alright.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just start over that part, I guess. So, KB Lake X we have here is these two, the 7740X and the 7640X. And then Skylake X is gonna be all the higher up stuff. So 6 cores all the way to 18 cores. So that's the new thing that we didn't see Sunday. Sunday we only saw up to 12 cores, which is what most people expected. I mean, that's what Intel's been pretty much doing. They've been adding like 2 cores each time, maybe no cores. But here they're going all the way up to 18 cores. And this slide from Paul's Hardware, great channel, you guys, you should go check them out. And this is a slide from Intel, from Paul's Hardware. Or Paul got it from Intel, and it confirms up to 18 cores. So Paul's Hardware. Yeah, okay, audio's working. Oh, okay, never mind. Don't up to 18 cores. So I want to first talk about these two here. The 7640X and the 7740X. These have dual channel memory and 16 PCIe lanes. For those of you that don't know, the whole point of a high-end platform, the whole point of X299 is quad channel and more PCIe lanes. But it has the same 2 channels and 16 lanes as Z270, which is what the 7700K and the 7600K are supposed to be, or they are. This is literally just a rebranded 7700K and 7600K that goes in a different socket, but is essentially no different. Why? Why would Intel do such a thing? Nobody really knows. I mean, I predicted that this might be refreshes to Z270. I mean, like the 4790K and the 4770K. You know, Julian and Alex have the 4790K, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those were just refreshes to an existing one. They were on the same chipset. This, for some reason, is on a new platform with none of the benefits of that platform. Now, the problem here is going to be that motherboard configurations are going to be janky as hell. I mean, specific memory slots are just not going to work. Specific PCIe slots are not going to work. Just specific things here and there are not going to work. This is not going to work. That's not going to work. If you have this, then that's not going to work. But if you have that, then this is not going to work. And it's just going to be super confusing. So what Intel really should have done is put these two ones on their existing Z270. But whatever. The next notable thing here, aside the fact that it goes up to 18 cores, is the new naming scheme. Wow.
Dude, you honestly just have to add 2s to everything to make it seem like you actually put more work into it. I'm just putting that out there. The thing is, you can't go into double digits because then it's a little bit too much of a mouthful. I mean, look at the top one, the i9-7980XE. You're not gonna like put more numbers in it. So I bet you the next iteration of this Intel processor is going to like ditch the I put number here scheme like completely.
You think so, huh? I mean, it wouldn't be too far-fetched. They've already... Originally what they've had is they've had no... After the name, they've had no number is non-overclockable, K is overclockable, and X is like the flagship processor, so this X... What this XE would be. So I guess that's what X is now. X would be like the Extreme Edition processors. Like the 5960X, that's the one Eli has. The 6950X, that's the newest, the 10-core that went for $1,700, so price cuts, we're going to talk about that in just a bit. It was the X, it was the top of the line, and everything else was just Ks. But here now they have the top of the line one being an XE. So I guess they have to add a letter to show, hey, this is the enthusiast winner, or aren't they all enthusiasts? And then, as another slap in the face to people, they have i9s. So 8 cores, now after AMD's Ryzen, they've realized 8 cores, that's just the normal, that's just the little kid stuff. If you want the real big kid processors, you're going to have to go up to 10 cores minimum. So like, you know what, screw it, i9, whole new series. i9 is going to be 10 cores through 18 cores, and that's how it's going to work. How do you think that this is going to translate to normal, everyday people that are not as tech-savvy and following the news? When they all of a sudden hear about the new Core i9. Stu? Well, crap. Stu, you still there?
Yeah, I'm alive. I'm alive, dude. Like, I don't have this, like, kind of level of technical expertise that you do, but the thing that, like, really is catching my eye is the price point. Because as dumb as I am when it comes to this stuff, I do understand money. And when comparing it to AMD's new thing Ryzen, how do you think that these are going to compare to those? Because obviously Intel is known for having these processors that, while they might have some merit to them, like they're just so much more expensive than the AMD processors. So price to performance wise, what do you think is better?
I mean, obviously, coming from me, this is going to be AMD is still going to be the price to performance king. But at least Intel isn't just slacking off and letting AMD become the performance king as well. Because with previous rumors where it only went up to 12 cores, for example, AMD has already confirmed up to 16 cores. We should find out more about that later tonight. So on tomorrow's stream, we can talk about that. Ryzen Threadripper. But anyways, back to the X series. They're obviously scared. A lot of this is obviously them being just scared of AMD and what they're doing, and that's shown by the new price points and also the new naming, going to the i9 to really assert their dominance. It's like they're measuring up. They're like, no, we got the bigger number. We're better.
Yeah, but honestly, like, it's also kind of cool that Intel is also appealing to that kind of market demographic that obviously doesn't have a lot of money. Because if you look at the bottom one, the i5-7640X, that's only $242. So it's really nice to see the fact that Intel is, like they care about those people at the lower price points, and they're redoing CPUs that are at those lower ends of the spectrum.
Well, yeah, I mean, the 7600K was about the same price point. The problem here is that the 7600K worked with a LGA 1151 socket and the Z270 chipset, meaning a significantly cheaper motherboard. So here, they're trying to make it seem like, oh yes, our enthusiast line can also be budget too, because the point is Ryzen is bringing these things that used to be enthusiast and is bringing them down to a mainstream price point. So I think that's why they put these two processors on their enthusiast platform, because they're saying like, hey, yeah, this is the Core X series, this is like the extreme stuff, but it's still cheap. When in reality, it's going to be more expensive than like a 7700K for the same product, because you're going to have to pay for a more expensive motherboard where you're not even going to get any of the benefits of that more expensive motherboard.
Yeah.
What I think is really
and just looking at
what? Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. What's really interesting is going up to these other models, because Intel's kind of been ridiculous, let's say, with their pricing, especially on higher core counts. So, here, let me see if I can bring up the old Broadwell E lineup that they had
you want to look at that, bro?
Last year. Yeah, so previously what they had is they had two 6 cores, an 8 core, and a 10 core. Obviously, where is it? Here. But they don't have room for that. So what it used to be is they had one 6 core that only had the 6800K or the 5820K that had less PCIe lanes, then another 6 core that was like $200 more expensive. I mean, this one was about, you could get this for about the 6800K for about $400. 6850K was $550 to $600. All it had was more PCIe lanes. Here, and then actually I'm going to finish up here. The 8-core 6900K was $1,000, so these are very inaccurate. But the 6900K was $1,000 for their 8-core, and then their 10-core was $1,700. I mean, those price jumps just for that marginal improvement is ridiculous. Here, they're trying to position it in a way where they're like, yes, this is a logical step, but real people who are actually looking at this can still see that they're crapping their pants at AMD. The quad cores, they went down like about $50, so they're now in the $300 range-ish. So this will be competing with the Ryzen 7 1700X, which is what I have for the same price, which is an 8-core processor, which even still, I think 8-core to 8-core, 60-core to 6-core, this is going to beat AMD. The problem is, they have their 6-core for the same price as an AMD 8-core, but the AMD 8-core is obviously still going to beat the Intel 6-core.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was talking to you about earlier on WhatsApp, where it was like, yeah, with these new things that are being announced, it's probably going to be like 10% better, but also at like 10 times the cost. So, and that's obviously for the additional features, like what you were talking about with the two processors on the lower end. You have to get those, but you also have to get a different motherboard for those. So like, yeah, you know, stuff's getting a lot more expensive now, man.
Oh yeah. But like, I mean, yes, it is still very expensive, but the prices are still dropping. I mean, although one thing I would like to say, my predictions were accurate. Up to the 12 core, or maybe not the 12 core, but up to the 10 core for sure. I guessed like a $50-ish drop on the 6 core, about $600-ish for the 8 core, and about $1,000 for the 10 core. Look at that. I was right. Now, the 12 core, I expected it to be closer to like $1,500-ish, just because that was the expected Extreme Edition, so to speak. Do they technically still even... Well, I guess if it's E, then they technically still have the Extreme Edition. But anyways, yeah, now the 12 core is going to be $1,200, 14 for $1,400, 16 for $1,700, and then the 18 core for $2,000. Wow. To put it in perspective, especially for you, Stu, because you understand money more.
Yes.
We're expecting this evening AMD when they release their new X399 chipset, because you know, screw you with naming. There's AMD's gonna have X399. It's gonna start at 10 cores, expected between like in the $500 to $600 range ish. 12 cores being in the maybe upper fives to the $600 range. 14 cores in the $700-800 range, and then 16 cores at like $1,000.
Yeah, man, that's really weird. I mean, I'm not really excited, but I'm just eager to see what comes next and how like the PC enthusiast community receives this, because the thing with Ryzen is I saw a lot of videos. Like, of course, there were so many Ryzen skeptics because Intel was always hailed as like the top of the top in CPU production. But now everyone's like, yeah, you know, Ryzen is so much better and it's so much cheaper. And I've seen a lot of people that like used to be diehard Intel fans, they go back on this saying, yeah, you know, AMD is so much better because it's so much cheaper. And I really want to see how people receive these chips, because obviously, as you said, you're predicting that AMD chips are going to be significantly cheaper.
Oh, yeah,
so yeah, I'm just trying to. Yeah, this might be that time in history where we see a complete reversal here. You know, now Intel may be one of those brands that everybody just sees as having the brand name behind them, as opposed to having the real performance behind them. So, you know, who knows? Maybe this can really signal the ushering in of a new era.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. I still think though, Intel's, at least for the time being, is gonna be the king. All of these, as I just said, are still gonna beat Ryzen. I mean, the 7820X. Optimistically, this is gonna have a 10% performance increase over Broadwell E. And seeing, if I understand correctly, the differences between IPC, instructions per clock, between Haswell and Skylake, the mainstream side of things, and then obviously these new clock speeds that are much higher, 10-15% should be feasible here. So we're going to actually see finally a bit of a performance jump. But still, so the current Broadwell E, I'm going to just flat out say it, it's the same as current Ryzen. In all my tests right now, especially with the updates, they're on par. So 10% increase in performance for $600 as opposed to $400. Yes, okay. A lot of people are going to be comparing this to the 1800X, which is $500. So, oh yeah, it's only $100 extra, but to really have like the best 8-core, don't get an 1800X. It's an extra $100 for essentially an overclocked 1700X, which is why I got a 1700X, because it's the most that you should reasonably be getting. $200 difference, 10% difference. And we're probably going to be seeing similar trends up to $700 difference for like 10-15% improvements. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say for, what was that? So Stu's saying, talk about laptops next. There's not really much. Oh, okay. I see. You're talking about the Asus laptops.
Because this is about stuff that like I low key kind of know here. So one of the things that I saw is Nvidia's Max-Q wants to make gaming laptops thinner, lighter, and less fugly. And you know, at CES we saw a lot of gaming laptops or things that were touted as gaming laptops that were huge. I mean, I saw this one. I think it was MSI, something like that.
Yeah, MSI,
but it was at least 2 inches thick, and it had a mechanical built into it. And if you look at this, you're kind of thinking, well, why is this even a laptop at this point? Because you expect with laptops, you can carry them around. They're supposed to be portable. Now, looking on your screen right now, you do see that article that Pierre's displaying. To the left, under the then section with all the specs behind it is the thick kind of laptop that everybody's kind of gotten used to, and like it's really really weird because it's so hard to carry those wherever you go. For example, one market that uses it, it's a niche market, but still it's a market that uses it. It's in the realm of pro gaming, and one thing that they always gripe about is the fact that their laptops are so unbelievably thick because they want to have those graphics cards to be and processors actually just to be able to give them good frames per game and let them do all sorts of different stuff, but they can't really do that as well because their laptop is freaking huge. So it's great to see that they're trying to slim things down.
Yeah, I mean, slimming down is kind of a big trend that's happening everywhere, and this thick laptops, I mean, the whole reason it came, as you said, was to get that kind of performance but still be able to move it around. But now we're getting things like more small form factor desktops, so for moving around, because let's be honest, the programmers, they're going to be plugging into a wall anyways. So they can take with them that small, like less than console-sized PC, a small monitor, and then they're going to be using their own keyboard and mouse anyways if they're pro gamers. So it's going to be about the same footprint. They're going to just plug it into the wall, and it's going to be the same thing with even better performance. So the whole thick laptops is losing their markets, and especially also here with now the thin laptops becoming much more powerful. So just
honestly, I kind of see it as a huge FU to Razer's fabled Project Valerie. Remember that huge laptop with the 3 displays that we saw at CES?
Yes.
We saw that at CES. It was an amazing product. Really.
That was really cool. But I don't think this is really trying to attack them. This is more trying to attack the people like Asus who made a water-cooled laptop.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not really sure why this trend even started to begin with. But the notion that, hey, let's just pack a desktop form, not just functionality, but form, into a laptop, like, I never knew when that came up. Like, I never knew out of what orifice of hell that came out of. And to be completely honest, I never quite understood that now. But also, we can see that they're trying to find these small things that kind of make this more popular. For example, they're the fans thing, the what's it called, the whisper mode. They call it whisper mode. It's where on every kind of computing device, if it's big enough, if it's bad enough, if it's badass enough, there's going to be a lot of fan noise there, and they're trying to turn that down. They're really trying to appeal to as many people as they can.
I mean, yeah, that's another thing. So let's just go through what this new Max Q is supposed to do. So it's essentially, if I understand correctly, NVIDIA trying to help laptop makers take these like giant chips, or these powerful chips like 1080s, and fitting them in smaller sizes, because part of the problems are power constraints, thermals, especially thermals. So what NVIDIA's doing is they're helping to create different technologies to regulate power, speed. So like if you're not really using, part of the problem with powerful laptops is even if you're not really using it to its full potential, it still has a minimum that it has to be going at, and it's still going to consume power. So this is going to help it go lower and consume less power when it's idle, and then be able to reach that potential when it's being used.
And looking down in that same paragraph with mode, it actually reminds me of, they said it, raid and chill. And at CES, we got access to the AMD product room. And this is also one of the features they marketed with AMD. They were talking about with the CPU exclusively. When you're not moving a mouse when you're playing a video game, it'll cut the performance like enough to keep you up there, enough to keep the game functional, but also enough so that you're saving power, saving battery life. Now, this is something touted, just in general to save power. And now it's really, really cool to see the same thing with the GPU, so that, you're not killing your PC if you're not doing anything. So, like, if you're idling on a game because you have to do something, you don't have to worry about it eating through, all your power. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, although I think you're getting a little confused. What you were talking about there with Ryzen and the CPU stuff, that was their SenseMI technology, specifically Pure Power is the name. You guys can actually, the viewers can see more about that over on my video that I made about what we know so far about Ryzen that I made back in January. Go check that out. Radeon Chill, what they're talking about here, is a feature they announced, I think it was at the same time as the RX 500 series. Which is essentially, the same thing, but on a GPU. So Radeon Chill is AMD's version of Max-Q. And NVIDIA's finally, they're taking it a step forward and saying, not only are we going to make it, because, I mean, AMD was really just saying, like, it's an update, it's a software thing. NVIDIA is saying this is more hardware-based, and this is going to let you have thinner, quieter laptops. Although the one thing that hasn't been addressed is battery life. Although in theory, if your thermals are improving, battery life should improve.
True, but like, look, talking about the amount of space that they have to keep the regular functionality of the laptop. Looking at the in the back of what's his face, the CEO of sorry, I'm like really tired right now. But if you look at the background, it says the length, thickness of both the laptops. So on the bend, which is with those super thick laptops, you have 51 millimeters, which is about like what, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, but yeah, 18 millimeters is like 0.7 of an inch. So I have no idea how they're gonna keep, namely the battery.
Yeah, battery is a big concern, but I mean, especially CPUs with all they're doing is just consuming less and less power now. Especially since, I mean, we know Intel's not kicking any more performance in there, so they gotta have some kind of improvements. But yeah, no, power efficiency has been. That's why we're getting like 15-hour battery lives out of some of these ultrabooks, because they don't have GPUs. So the CPU alone is consuming barely anything. It's the main concern always with these powerful laptops is the GPU has been consuming all of the power. And now NVIDIA is trying to solve that. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also kind of riding on this kind of thickness thing, it seems kind of weird, but to me personally, that's really important, because I had one of these laptops. It wasn't amazing. It had an 840 NVIDIA graphics card. I don't know, it's kind of weird.
That was still rather thin, but it was still like,
yeah, it was thin, but like it didn't work like live itself up to the expectations that it was touted as. But it's great to see that they're trying to reach this goal where it's super thin, but it works really, really well. And looking at the market before this product has been announced, actually, the only thing that was thin enough to like be even considered in that quote unquote gaming range was the Razer Blade Stealth, and that didn't even have a great GPU. So it's amazing to see.
The Blade Stealth always had a integrated graphics card, but the regular full Blade, not the Blade Pro, just the regular 14-inch Blade, that one had actually a 1060. So essentially, NVIDIA wants to NVIDIA wants to take that same size and put a 1080 in there. So Razer, to put a 1080 in a laptop, they had the Razer Blade Pro, which was the thicker one, the 17-inch one. That's the smallest they could make it with a 1080. Now they're saying, okay, your regular Razer Blade is going to have a 1080, and the Razer Blade Stealth is going to have a 1060. So imagine like a MacBook Air size device that's VR capable. That's what NVIDIA's doing.
Pretty lit, bro.
Yeah. And then I think the one he's holding in his hands is from Asus, but no official products have been announced. It's Asus, buddy. Sorry. Although I guess this is the perfect transition into the next one. Asus had their event yesterday where they announced some new laptops. None of them using any of this new technology. It goes up to a 1050 at most. But there are a few interesting things I'd like to note. So let's just look into them. They have the ZenBook Flip S. So that's this device, the thinnest convertible laptop ever.
Honestly, convertible laptops to me kind of seem like a gimmick, because I had one of those things. Like, you flip it around, it's a cute little tablet thingy, but like, you never use that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have one too. I have the HP Envy X360, which actually is something we're going to talk about tomorrow, because we might see more details on the refresh of that. But back to this. Convertibles, yeah, I've kind of lost it for me. When I bought this laptop last year, I gave convertibles one last chance. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not really going to be using it as a tablet, but maybe I can still flip it around in tent mode or something like that. I never do. I used it once to watch videos in bed, but that's it.
Exactly.
Really, touch screens, yeah, I think are useful, but convertibles,
Yeah, like if you want convertible laptop straight up, just get a Surface.
Okay, well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, maybe not that far, but like a lot. This kind of form and functionality thing. I think some companies are taking a little bit too far, and like they're really touting this thing as, oh hey, look, you can flip it around and it'll be an iPad, but at the same time,
Yeah.
you have to put a really shitty CPU and GPU in it. So like, yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't even know if this thing even has. Yeah, it doesn't even have a GPU in it. It's just CPU.
Exactly.
I think really, if you really want something that you can also use as a tablet and you genuinely use the tablet feature, not necessarily a Surface, but the same idea of detachables are going to be a much better option because, let's be honest, it's the same hardware and it's just going to be more convenient when it's in tablet mode. Because no matter how thin you make these, still that is going to add thickness. So, yeah, so that's that. Moving on, their new Vivo book, and actually, yeah, no, ZenBook 3 Deluxe. Once this comes up on your screen, Stu, tell me what do you think of this device, huh? This super device.
I think that it's really, really thin, but at the same time, like everybody knows what happens to the thin laptops. I mean, look at the new Mac that came out. They're like, yeah, it's super, super thin. But on the other hand,
Eli
it barely
the one
works.
before that. Are you talking about the one that replaced the Airs, the ones that look just like this with the one touch?
Yeah, the really thin ones. Every time somebody talks to me about really thin laptops, I always have to confront the very, very, very healthy dose of skepticism. Because you know what happens when you make things thinner? That's less space to put so many different things in, like CPU, GPU. And if it's thin like that, first off, you can forget a GPU.
Oh, yeah, no,
CPU will be there. Battery life, I don't know. Actually, battery life, I can kind of imagine because, you know, you're not using as much power. But I've always been super, super skeptical of these ultra-thin laptops. And I don't think that there's a super big market out there because, like I said, you know, basically just get an iPad or get a Surface. I mean, I know we don't want to go that far, but I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much thinness you can put into a laptop before it's just like, what's the point? I think they should focus more on the weight, because that's what makes it actually portable.
Exactly, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, this might be big amongst hippies that really don't know what goes into computers, but I mean, to me, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried that super thin MacBook. Once you start opening a bunch of Chrome tabs and stuff, performance goes downhill. But anyways, the last laptop from ASUS is their new VivoBook. They had two of them, and let me see if I can find a picture of the other one. There are two that they announced. But anyways, one of them, or that could just be me making a mistake. But anyways, this one, during this event, a lot of people were saying that they're trying to rip off MacBooks. Because especially with that one that I can't seem to find, it really looked like a MacBook ripoff. Oh, yeah, there is one that's missing. Another, I think it's a VivoBook. It has a 1050 in it. So it looks like a MacBook Pro with a 1050. So, I mean, yeah, there's not really much to say about that. Then they had an all-in-one desktop that's actually, the bezels are really thin, so that's kind of impressive. And then a wireless router. This is probably the strangest looking wireless router I've ever seen.
Oh, exactly, man. I have no idea what the design concept for that was. Maybe a bunch of them just got high in a corner one day, like, hey guys, let's make a wireless router. Also, pass me the crystal meth. And bam. But it looks aesthetically pleasing. I will give it that much. Like I'm looking at my router right now. Looking at both of them, I really like this one more. But could this alone be the selling point for something like that? Probably not.
I mean, the main thing that they're touting here is that it has... This is, I think, the second device we've seen so far that has the new 802.11ad standard. So AC has been like the super fast standard so far, and now AD is pushing it to, I think it was like 4.6 gigabits per second wireless. Of course, no one can afford that kind of an internet connection, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, that's...
I gotta say, aesthetically, these make me very, very happy. Even going back to the ultra thin, like wafer thin laptops, I'm not a fan of them. the same time, I really appreciate the aesthetic put behind it. So we're also shifting to more of an aesthetic,
Yeah.
what's the word? I'm looking for the word.
First kind of thing.
Yes, we are pushing towards an aesthetic. Yeah. Everybody likes things that look amazing, and no
It's
matter
less
no
about
matter how
functionality, yeah.
exactly, no matter how much I trash them about the performance of a particular thing, I will not deny for a second that all of these things look great. I mean, you can also see this in another market that's esports peripheral, gaming peripherals. Now, like RGB is the craze behind everything. So, like, it's kind of weird to see this trend reflected.
Yeah, I think that was an official decree from Donald Trump or something like that. Yeah. No, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a photoshopped picture of Donald Trump holding an executive order, and like someone replaced the actual order with RGB all the things.
Exactly.
So
I mean, it's a really easy
way to make money. Yeah. So, although to be fair, well, this looks good. It also does perform well. I mean, that was kind of the point. So.
Yeah, I mean that's just honestly that is an added bonus.
Okay, time to go back to Intel, but this time I think we're done with the CPUs we've talked. Yes, they're gonna be really great, but they're gonna be expensive. But the motherboards that go with them, there's some really interesting.
Oh, is this the X299?
Yeah, X299 is the new chipset. So the new socket is the LGA 2066. Fairly straightforward naming. It has 2066 pins. Here we can see different trends. ASUS has just gone balls to the walls with this.
Wait, hold on. Sorry for interrupting you, but did they just put RGBs in the motherboard? I'm looking at the first picture I see, or second picture I see, sorry, and it looks like they put some goddamn RGBs in it.
My motherboard that I'm using right now has RGB. The motherboard that AMD sent me has RGB. If the motherboard doesn't have RGB, then it is not premium. A little late, buddy, but motherboards have had RGB for a while.
I'm gonna run out of breath in my lungs to keep sighing with. But anyways, back to all the technical stuff here. You take it away.
Yeah. Some things we can see. They're trying to. These are getting power hungry. 8-pin plus a 4-pin. Your motherboard has probably a 4-pin, I'm gonna guess, but maybe an 8-pin. Mine has just an 8-pin, but ASUS has really been putting a lot. We're gonna see a motherboard soon that has 2 8-pins, so power hungry. Again, RGB. Also, the heat spreader is starting to cover a lot more of the motherboard, and that's a trend with ASUS's things. But anyways, the main thing that ASUS is introducing here now is that little rectangle right there. You can see it right there, and then also, it's not on the tough board. On the, yeah, no, not this one. It's on another motherboard that I guess is just not here. A little screen, an LCD screen that can actually print out like letters and numbers. So different functionality that they've shown that you could get from this would be things like it could show your CPU frequency or temperatures or voltages. So really to help with overclocking. So yeah, you thought that RGB was crazy. How about having an actual screen on your motherboard?
Honestly, I'm fine with that.
Oh, that I'm actually kind of
Sorry, there's a phone going off. Ah, shit. I'm just gonna wait it out.
Just wait. But yeah, I mean, other than that, there's not really much new here. There's, I mean, it's. I mean,
look at. They also designed some of these motherboards like exclusively for Intel Core X processors. The Asus Republic of Gamers.
What?
Hold on.
ROG. There's an ROG board here. Yeah, here it is. Oh, is that a screen there? I'm not sure. There's definitely, I think, like the Maximus or something has a screen right here. But I'm not sure. We'll wait until Stewie gets back.
Okay, sorry about that. I just tossed the phone out of my office. But anyways, looking at the Republic of Gamers Strix X299 thingy,
Mm-hmm.
It is designed exclusively for the Intel Core X processor, and it looks pretty dope, man.
Oh, I mean, yeah. But some of these things are translating over to the AMD side, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. We have ASUS has already unveiled the first AMD Threadripper motherboard, and I'm gonna see what you think. First of all, I want you to look at the size of things on this motherboard, and on all of these motherboards, especially in this area, the size. Okay, very important. Moving on, ASRock has motherboards. The big thing here, this is what I think you'll be interested in. The onboard LAN port is 10 gigabits per second. 10 gig Ethernet just on your motherboard. Previously, you had to get like $100 plus LAN cards just to have the privilege of having 10 gig networking. And now they're just like, here, put it on the motherboard.
Yeah, but how much is it gonna cost? That's my question, man.
Oh, this motherboard? $300.
It's not bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, judging by ASRock's trends, all the other features on this motherboard, looking at other things, it's a fairly bare bones motherboard, to be fair. The only really exciting thing that it has is going to be this gigabit LAN port. I mean, they even toned it down on the LEDs. They just have
Actually, fun fact here.
Mm-hmm.
The Fatality X299, Fatality is a world champion at Doom. Just throwing that out there.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah,
well,
pretty cool.
Well,
right?
the more you know. And then we've also seen an interesting thing. We're going to see another one here later with EVGA. Boards designed specifically for overclocking. So you see, if you remember correctly, one of the advantages of this platform was quad-channel memory. You see, 8 memory slots, 4 memory slots. Because having less traces on the motherboard leads to better overclocking. And all this extra stuff here on the side, it's all built for just overclocking. It's insane. Moving on, we just have some normal... So ITX boards, not bad.
Look at the racing one. Look at the racing one. The BioStar X299 Racing GT9 motherboard.
Yeah. I mean, Gigabyte's got some... nothing is really shocking. They're nice motherboards. This one, yes. BioStar is has really grown, I think, this past year. I mean, they've been really known in the AMD space because they had the first ITX Ryzen board. Now they have this. Why? Why do they need so much space?
Dude, why do they call it racing?
Oh, that's
okay.
You should see on their AMD boards. It actually has like a racing flag across it, so you can actually tell they've got a racing theme. Here, I have no idea. They're just sticking with the name.
Okay, but looking at it, the aesthetic looks so weird.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because normal motherboards will cut off here, and then here you've got all this stuff. You've got all your main connect. You've got like 2 U.2 ports, 4. It's why? Just why? Honestly, no one even uses U.2. Like, realistically. Yes, so ASRock also had some other stuff that they were showing off. Or should we... Yeah, let's... No, that's the X399. Here we go. EVGA's X299 boards. This is their flagship board. I'm going to wait for you to see that board. You thought the BioStar one looked weird. What do you have to say about this one?
Jesus.
I mean, again, we see things like cutting down on the RAM slots to make it easier for overclocking. 2 Dr. Debug. So these things are called Dr. Debugs. I used it to figure out what was going on with the problems that I had with the sponsored Ryzen build. Essentially, what they do is they'll post if there's a problem with booting, it'll have a number there, and it'll say, okay, this is the error. This is why it's not booting. This is 2 of them because they're probably repurposing these for overclocking. So it's going to say like temperatures, voltages, speeds, that stuff. But then they also have features in here that are not necessarily meant for overclocking, but for cable management. So they're 24-pin, USB 3 header, and then an extra... Okay, well, this is technically for overclocking. They have an extra PCIe power connector. Well, not for overclocking, but just to get more power. Because I guess the CPU is going to suck all the other power. But these are right-angled, and then they have these indents. So you can just so you can plug in the cable and tuck it away right there, nowhere to be seen, so it doesn't have to stick out and around the whole motherboard. So though that's the kinds of decisions they've made, but I guess SATA ports don't get that same special treatment. But yeah, this is again just an insane motherboard. And then they've got their For the Win motherboard, which is just a nice normal board. And guess what, Stewie? Guess what all these have?
RGB.
RGB! Hell yeah, man.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty lit.
RGB For the Win, huh? Get it? Because it's
No,
called
but
the
honestly,
For the
like,
Win.
it's so weird just to see all this. I mean, me as someone who's kind of into this, but not as into this as many others are, this is so confusing. Like, Jesus Christ.
Just know, no RGB, no premium. End of story. That's it. That's essentially standard now. Literally, I think on the Ryzen side, ASRock has these two motherboards that are pretty much identical. One of them has RGB, one of them is just red LEDs. The RGB one's like $50 more. Yeah.
Interesting.
And then they've got some.
What I mean, interesting. What I mean, interesting. I mean, I have actually nothing else to say. Actually, but with all of this, how much can you customize on this? Like, how many things can you add on? Which one do you think is the best motherboard for people who feel like adding more and more and more onto their system as time goes on?
I'm gonna go back. I think it was. When was it? Like ASUS or something that just had made sure that expansion was not a problem. No, it wasn't here. I forget exactly where it was. It might actually just be a AMD motherboard. But essentially it's just kind of like this idea where it's just full PCIe, everything was just full brackets, anywhere, any size, anything. So yeah.
Yeah.
Gigabyte's kind of got that here with their boards having a bunch of PCIe, full-size PCIe slots, because I mean, the point is you have more PCIe lanes that you can take advantage of, so why not have more slots? Back to ASRock before we move on to the AMD stuff. This is a motherboard that they've made specifically for Bitcoin mining. So you'll see something special about this. It has a lot of PCIe slots, but they're all super tiny, so you can fit one graphics card. Because the point of this is, with Bitcoin mining, you want to put a bunch of graphics cards. So technically, you can put a lot of graphics cards here, but they're going to be terrible for gaming. Because all you need is just the raw compute performance for Bitcoin mining. So apparently, ASRock still thinks that Bitcoin mining is a thing. Yeah. And then another i9-X Ryzen board. So that's nice to see that we're finally getting some more of those. Okay. Now we have I think this is pretty much, okay, so we're going to finish the show off today with some AMD stuff. This is going to be for the new Ryzen 9 series, as it is supposedly going to be called, on the now confirmed X399 chipset. So that's where I was wrong. I predicted that'd be X390, because honestly that would make more sense. I mean, they have A320, B350, X370, and then X390, but now apparently they're going X399. So, Stuart, what is the first thing that jumps out to you when comparing the motherboards? Here, let's go to the X299 Strix board. Okay. Let's wait for you to see that.
Hold on. There's that lag with the
Get a good look at that, especially in this area. Are you ready?
Yeet.
This thing. Let's see. I think they have a picture. This socket is massive.
Yes. I mean, it's kind of the centerpiece of the thing. Okay, that's bigger.
Yeah, that is huge.
That is
even comparing
1.5. Oh my god,
that's a lot more space. Because the thing is, they're using the same. What they do for these high-end platforms is they use server sockets, because servers are originally the ones that need to have more memory channels to have higher memory capacity, more PCIe slots for different things like SSDs and graphics cards. So really, these enthusiast platforms, the HDDT, high-end desktop, something, I don't know what the T stands for, platforms, are built on server. And Intel's server side goes up to 24 cores. And so that's why this 2,066 pins is fine. AMD goes up to 32 cores on their server with, I think, like 8-channel memory. It's their Epic is what they're calling their servers. Intel is Xeon, AMD's Epic. It's massive, over 4,000 pins. This socket is about twice the size of an Intel socket and over twice the size of the typical AM4 Ryzen socket. It's just huge. And it needs 2 8-pin power connectors just to power it. Because it's just, I mean, you can just imagine the kind of bandwidth that we're going to get out of this thing. Wow. The original rumor was 44 PCIe lanes, which would make sense. That would line up with what Intel has. But Linus actually released a video earlier today where he got some hands-on with this motherboard. And clearly he doesn't know what's rumor and what's not. Because he said allegedly up to 16 cores, even though that's already been confirmed by AMD. But the thing he did not say allegedly was 64 PCIe lanes. Just because of how big the socket, how many pins it has. It's insane. Because, I mean, it's also kind of part of the thing with the... whatchamacallit? Crap, I forgot the name. Ryzen, right? Ryzen. The Ryzen architecture, and what this is essentially 2 of their 8-core Ryzen processors slammed together onto one chip.
Nice.
I mean, it's 2 8-core Ryzen processors put together, so obviously it's going to be massive.
16 cores, boy.
Yeah, see? 16 cores.
Wait. My question above all else is why? Now, a lot of times when people come out with these new products, there is a purpose to it, and I understand it. Now, this I do not like at all. I really don't see the point of why would I get this over something else that may or may not be 500, may or may not be cheaper, but offers around that same lane of usability.
Well,
what unique things does this offer above anything else?
The point is, I'm going to go back up here. The point is, and this is a thing that Intel's been doing now, AMD's doing, is they have 3 platforms, technically. Mainstream, Enthusiast, and Server. Server, we're going to leave that aside. Mainstream and Enthusiast. So Mainstream focuses more on individual performance. So, I mean, that's why we've gone up to 8 cores. Previously, the Enthusiast platform, or also known as the Workstation platform, is where more cores have been because that's things that Workstation needs, and Mainstream has been more towards gaming. But a lot more people not as rich as enterprise people have been getting into content creation, so they need things like an 8-core processor on a mainstream platform. So that's where Ryzen comes in. It brings 8-core performance down to a mainstream platform, and it brings costs down with things like dual-channel memory, less PCIe lanes. So that's one of the reasons Intel's 8 cores are so much more expensive, because they need to fit in this other stuff that most people don't need. But some people do need it. Some people need the extra memory bandwidth. Some people need more PCIe lanes. Some people are going to have 2 graphics cards, plus SSDs, plus network cards, plus capture cards. They're going to have a bunch of PCIe devices, because that's what they need for work. Things like people like engineers. So that's where this high-end platform comes in, and they also obviously can benefit from 16 cores. Even software like Adobe Premiere, really, you lose many of the benefits past 8 cores. So I think that's one of the reasons that AMD stopped at 8 cores, or even actually just went up to 8 cores in the first place on their mainstream, because even all the people making YouTube videos at home, 8 cores is really going to be enough. But some people, they just need anything they can get. So that's where things like these 16-core and 18-core processors with all these extra things like quad-channel memory and PCIe lanes come in for those people. Does that clarify that for you?
Yeah. I don't understand all of it, but it sounds impressive. I will give you that much. You have done a fantastic job of selling this product here.
I mean, yeah, it's really just the needs of the people, and this is one of the things I mentioned Sunday. I hope they have lower core count processors on this platform. Because part of that's something now that Intel's done. They're now bringing lower core counts to their platforms, although it's kind of pointless because the lower core counts can't take advantage of it. some people don't necessarily need 8-core performance, but they need a bunch of PCI devices. So that's where something like, if they need like a quad-core with a bunch of PCI devices, that's where this could come in. So, but current rumors are that they're starting at 10 cores, which is unfortunate. If they started at a quad-core, having a quad-core that can take advantage of it, and also 8 cores that can't take advantage of it. That's the two platforms, they need to intersect. The CPU, there has to be some CPUs that are common to both. I mean, obviously the same physical chip won't be able to fit in both, but you need to be able to have some 18 cores that don't use up more PCIe lanes, and there need to be lower core counts that do, just so that you can get exactly what you want. Other things to note here, so this is also the first time that AMD is using an LGA style socket on a motherboard. You've probably seen this, Stuart. AMD is known for having pins on the processor, and it goes into holes on the motherboard. And Intel has this weird metal bracket that like pushes down the
snap
CPU.
in, snap out.
Yeah.
Right.
Finally, AMD is doing this. Now, there are pros and cons to both. I personally prefer when the pins are on the CPU because they're a lot easier to fix. If one of these pins bends, the whole motherboard's toast permanently. There's no way to fix it. But CPUs, like, I've even had some bend, I've had some break off, and they're fine. But I do understand why they do need to do this. For things like servers, a lot of server hardware needs that for a variety of reasons I'm not going to go into. It's easier also, I mean, having 4,000... Actually, yeah, that is the one advantage. The pins can be a lot denser because they don't have to fit into holes. They just have to sit on these contact points on the processor, so you can make them a lot smaller and closer together. So that's probably why they went with this. I mean, the socket's already big enough. Can you imagine if they tried to put the pins on the processor? So the I have a perfect example for that. Yeah, this BioStar, except all of it. All that extra space is taken up by the socket.
Nice.
No, so I think it's good that they put LGA here. But the difference here, you see on Intel, they have these like these little pull tab things that pull out. And that's what you use to push down or pull up on the socket to move it. With the AMD socket, you have up top, and this has been demonstrated by Linus, you have a screw. You have to unscrew this and pull up the socket, and then screw it back in. So, yeah. Why? I don't know. But that is a thing. So no more slide it into, push down. It's just put it down, screw it super tight. Oh, crap. I am so sorry to Kipsan1. I just noticed in YouTube chat, I don't know when, but Kipsan1 commented, okay, probably when we were talking about NVIDIA half an hour ago. Anything from them on HDR monitors? Yes. So I don't know if you're still watching. Probably not. Yes, they did announce some HDR G-Sync monitors. The reason we didn't talk about that here in this show is because we saw that at CES. Do you remember that, Stewie? The G-Sync HDR
Which one? Sorry,
monitors.
I was looking us up on YouTube.
G-Sync HDR monitors. We saw that at CES. And AMD has announced it a second time here at Computex. I don't know why. Maybe they're finally releasing. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, yes, there was stuff. To answer your question, you're not watching anymore. So sorry about that. Okay, so that's something I can improve on for future live streams. Actually looking at the comments.
Yeah, I was looking at Twitch, right? I did not see anything at all. On
Twitch, there's nothing.
Because
YouTube,
I had no idea what you were doing.
Well, okay, Twitch yesterday, there was a guy who commented about dildos.
It's amazing, Pierre.
So yeah, but so sorry to Kipsan. Hopefully you see this. But back to the motherboards. Here you see on the I/O shield here on the left, that black rectangle kind of in the middle on the left. That's another one of those screens. And then the last thing I'd like to talk about with these motherboards is we got a naming. So ROG, that's like, Asus is the gamer extreme line.
Republic of Gamers. Yep.
Yeah, Republic
of Gamers, Pierre.
It has.
You have to nail these technicalities, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, these are people's lives that go
wow,
into
okay.
finding really stupid three-letter abbreviations. And you need to do, Pierre?
What?
You need to do them justice. Okay?
Okay,
So,
wow.
Republic
I
of Gamers, not Gamer Elite or whatever the hell you said earlier. It's Republic of Gamers.
Whatever. So they have strict naming. So Intel mainstream, so the LGA 1151, the Z97, Z270, that chipset, so that mainstream series has always been Rampage, right? Should be. Yeah, no. Okay, no, sorry, my bad. Maximus. Why are you doing this to us? Yeah. What? Yes, okay. So Maximus has been Intel's mainstream. Rampage has been Intel's enthusiast. Crosshair is the name for AMD. I mean, we've got the Crosshair 6 Heroes, like the flagship Ryzen motherboard. But we've only had one for AMD because AMD's only really had one platform. Now they have these mainstream and enthusiast platforms. So Zenith is going to be the name for ROG AMD enthusiast platform. Zenith. So make of that what you will. And then actually another thing. Here it looks like an extra DIMM slot, DIMM.2. It's essentially a little module that plugs in. So instead of, because there are a lot of motherboards don't have M.2 slots. This one doesn't have an M.2 slot because it's being taken up by the PCIe slots. So you can get like a PCIe riser, but then that's Asus has done. You can take something the size of a memory slot and use that as an M.2 interface. So that's what they've done. And then the next last thing. So I say this a lot. This included with this is ROG X399 Zenith Extreme motherboard is a network card. Of course, it's still going to have built-in networking, presumably, on the motherboard we can't see. They're including a 10 gigabit network card. I see why. I mean, the same reason ASRock, you remember, included the 10 gigabit port on the motherboard. Here, they're just putting it on a separate card. Because that is the point of this platform. It's turned into an enthusiast platform, but really what it is at the core is it's the workstation platform. It uses features that workstation people need. The only reason it's called enthusiast is because enthusiasts have been getting it just to get the most powerful processors. It's workstation, and workstation people can use 10 gigabit networking. So, they've included, nice touch, a 10 gigabit card in there. So now your workstation computer can have RGB. That's what it comes down to. And then the second Crosshair motherboard from Asus for Ryzen, the Crosshair 6 Extreme. So we have the Crosshair 6 Hero. The Extreme is pretty much just the overclocking madness version of that board. Here you can see its configuration with a big monoblock that just fits into water cool the whole motherboard. And then here you just see a normal one, although this... Yeah, no, this is still the Extreme. It's just a better version, so to speak, of the Crosshair 6 Hero. So enough for AMD motherboards. Actually, AMD is going to have an event this evening starting at 9 o'clock. Oh, Stewie, perfect timing. Guess what time our movie starts tonight?
What time?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
So we're going to unfortunately have to miss that, but obviously I'm going to read up, and then tomorrow... are you going to be available tomorrow after school? To do this again?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So now tomorrow we're gonna talk about the exact same thing, but AMD, and hopefully a few other things. Tomorrow there should be Threadripper, which is AMD's version of this, or well, it is this exactly. Vega, their new graphics cards. I think that's something that you can talk about more than you have been.
Yeah, because I actually know a little bit about that.
And then laptops as well.
Yeah, I know a little bit about laptops too.
Yeah, so hopefully you can get those. But anyways, last bit of news. I think it's two things. An AMD desktop, a pre-built from Dell. There are two options for this. One of them, Ryzen and Polaris. Polaris probably a 500 series, I'm going to guess. Yeah, 500. Or the other configuration, this is what's most interesting to me, is right here. 7th gen quad-core AMD A10 9700 APU. I think HP might have had a pre-built that used desktop wrist ridge, but if you guys remember, this was mostly seen in laptops. My laptop personally has this. the Bristol Ridge was supposed to be the bridge between the older Bulldozer architecture and the new Ryzen architecture because it used DDR4. It fits in the same socket. So with this PC, especially because I mean they're obviously just gonna make one BIOS for it, you could just buy this with its cheapest configuration with an old Bulldozer pile driver based APU and put in Ryzen, even though it's two completely different architectures, same memory, same everything. So yeah, so you know, finally we're seeing some of that. Although I think we're probably going to see some Ryzen APUs by the end of the summer, so it's kind of pointless. But it's still cool to see that they're finally doing it. There we go. And then the last thing from Dell, also with AMD, the first all-in-one computer powered by AMD Ryzen, and also the first legitimate all-in-one, not just like a cyber power PC, cram everything into the back of a monitor all-in-one.
Yeah, buddy.
That is VR capable. So yeah, so it's a legitimate, slim, all-in-one computer with Ryzen and VR capable. So yeah, I think that's about it. Everything. Yep. Okay. Awesome. So I'm gonna go back to us, and by us I mean me and a picture of you from CES. Back to this. That's pretty much it for this show, actually. So really, today's news and kind of yesterday's news was mostly dominated by the new Core X series because it is a big deal. And they're going up to 18 cores. It's a new platform. I mean,
I can see that cocky ass smirk on your face when you see my. I can see that cocky ass smirk on your face right now, like in my head, because that picture of me is terrible, and I know you're smiling.
We're talking about.
Jesus Christ.
So, but yeah, and then tomorrow should be also very exciting because we're gonna get AMD's side of this exact thing, but up to 16 cores, and hopefully only up to $1,000. Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of other news with NVIDIA and stuff, but yeah, definitely, I think, dominated by Intel. But, I mean, yeah, just the final recap. New Core i9, they're replacing the Ks with Xs, $2,000, 18 cores. I mean, some of this stuff just doesn't make sense, especially with the lower end. Because I guess we can come back to this. I did say earlier that I think AMD should have like quad, 6, and even 8, and especially 8 cores on their new X399 platform. With some people that they need that performance with more PCIe lanes, they don't necessarily want 10 core. But then I shamed Intel for doing this and putting low core counts on the high-end platform because, do you remember why? No? Stu?
Did you cut out there for a second?
Maybe, I don't know. Discord's kind of weird.
Yeah, I heard you like halfway through. Sorry about that.
Okay, I'll just answer the question myself. Because the only point of bringing these low core counts to a high-end platform would be to take advantage of the high-end platform things. Quad channel memory, more PCIe lanes. Presumably, and this is almost certain, knowing AMD, all of their CPUs will have 44 PCIe lanes minimum, maybe 64 if current slip-ups from Linus are to be believed. They're all going to have, there's not going to be, I mean, 28 already is kind of pushing it for like, But seriously, there's just, if you're going to put this processor on a high-end platform, give it the advantages of a high-end platform. But anyways, I said that again. We can talk about this more. We can compare these two actually tomorrow after we presumably, I mean, okay, this is not confirmed, but seeing as we've seen already a motherboard for it, we're probably going to see more Threadripper tonight. So tomorrow we can talk about it, and then, yeah, so I guess that's it for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will be back probably a bit later tomorrow, maybe closer to like the 4 or 5 o'clock mark because we have school tomorrow and not today. Yeah. Yeah, a big shout out to Stu for hosting, or for co-hosting this with me. It was great to have you on, and especially for some of the topics that you actually could talk about. Great to have your input. And hopefully tomorrow we can, with the more graphics cards and laptop stuff, we can get.
I can actually talk about stuff. I know. Thank you very much, my friend.
Yes. Although don't worry, we're going to spend a lot of time on Threadripper just to make sure you don't know anything about it.
Thank you.
No, but yeah, so that'll be fun. And I guess that's it. You can see both of our Twitters under our names here, so make sure you go follow him. He does. You're part of the FaZe clan, right? Right, Stu?
Repeat that?
Yeah, no, he's Fade Planet. He does a lot of CS:GO stuff, so that's really cool. Check him out. And then one last thing before we go, I'd like to ask you. I didn't get a chance to ask you because we were kind of in a hurry to get this started when you got home.
Sure.
How was your facial?
Amazing. You know, my mom's like, "Hey, we're getting you a facial appointment." I'm like, "All right, what the hell?" But yeah, here we are. I mean, it's not too bad.
So that was the reason.
Honestly,
was a little late. We were planning for 8 o'clock.
A waste of time and a waste of $50. I'm not so sure why in Korea men spend as much on this as on women, but yeah.
$50. You can get a whole Intel. Wait, never mind.
No, you know, all in all, very waste of money. Half an hour just lost of my life. But the lady was nice. I'll tell you that much.
That's good.
You know, she seemed to understand the fact that even though I've been there like 3 times, I still have no idea what the hell she does to my face. But you know, it works. There might be something. There might be something like some stigma against, like, yeah, man, you're a pussy to get that shit. But honestly, it's not bad. Would I willingly do that again? Absolutely not. But would I complain if my mom made another appointment? Nah, probably not. You know, I mean, it's like my face doesn't look like total ass right now. Well, it kind of does, but kind of doesn't.
Is it gonna like take like 24 hours to show up, or is it already all like?
Yeah, it's already better. It's already better. I mean,
so I'll see it.
Yeah, but still, worth $50? Probably not. Just like these new Intel Core processors, guys. A little bit better for 10 times the cost.
Yep, you get it. So yeah, I guess that's it. I will. Here we go. I can just say bye to you later. I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next live stream for day 2 of Computex, which should be exciting.
It's going to be tomorrow
to compare these new high-end platforms. I'm pumped. So yeah,
I'm a little less pumped, but
a little less pumped, but also
pumped.
What you might be pumped about is the laptops.
Yeah, there we go. Laptops
and then also some new high-end graphics cards from AMD, which could feature up to 16 gigs of memory. And so we'll see. Okay, as we're on my stream, I will see you guys tomorrow.